The suit is dying, it's not coming back, and here's why. In order to understand the decline of the suit, you have to recognize it for what it is. It's not just an article of clothing, but it is representative of an entire culture. And most of the West throughout the late 19th and the duration of the 20th century was a dignity culture. Dignity was the highest virtue. It was something that everybody aspired to. Didn't matter your race, didn't matter whether you were white collar or blue collar, it didn't matter your economic class or anything else. Dignity was the greatest collective social good. That's why it showed up in appearance, it showed up in manners, it showed up in a lot of different things. And yes, there were outliers, there were pockets and things like that. But for the most part, for the 20th century, the West valued dignity culture. And in addition to this, there was this fervor that came about post the two great wars that was very enthusiastic. Most of the thoughts about the future were very utopian as opposed to dystopian. There was a lot of hope and there was a lot of enthusiasm about what the future was going to look like. So essentially, the 20th century had this generative attitude. There was creation and building and cultivation and optimism for the future. And we no longer have that. We have two conflicting ideologies now. The first one is a conservative culture, and there are two ways that this shows up aesthetically. The first one is what we see in more of the political class, or especially in younger generations, in the like young Republicans, or what I like to call kind of like the gentle dorks. And it's the guys that feel like we just need to go backwards. It's this return ethos. It's going back in time. Or the second one is in more of this like blue collar and total antipathy for appearance or for beauty or for anything else like that. But the whole idea is that culture was better in the past. And what we need to do is we need to conserve it and we need to hold on to it, which is a non generative approach. And then on the other side, we have a very like deconstructionist approach. And we saw this for multiple decades. You saw it with punk rock in the 70s and you saw it with the hippie movement. It was something that was very predominant and getting started back then. And we see it now with a lot of like the androgyny and a lot of these other things that are happening. But the idea is that culture on this side is not generative, it is deconstructive. It is a breakdown, it is an attack on the past, it is a combination, or it's ugliness for its own sake because it sees beauty as something that is inherently bad because beauty was colonist or whatever else. And neither of those two attitudes, neither of those two ideologies or ethoses are something that could create a replacement for or an alternative to the suit. We need something that is generative, that is actually optimistic about a future, that is actually building towards something, as opposed to trying to conserve something that is dying or attack something that is dying. And until there is a counterculture or a subculture that is strong enough that it can create generative ideas and a generative aesthetic, most of us are going to be stuck in no man's land, which is equal parts frustrating, but there's also a lot of really fun opportunities here too.